It's not like it's competitive and you're just gonna lose.
You made it feel competitive.
I
was doing real hot, and you're like, well, good for you, because I don't have anybody.
I do want to play it with more people, and I do want to play it again. I just don't want you to shuffle.
Hey, all right, I shuffled thoroughly, Morgan, thoroughly.
I didn't feel like a team player, Mitch.
Well, you weren't contributing at all. I didn't feel like I had a team. Hi, welcome back to misformeeple. My name's Mitch.
And I'm Morgan, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a first impressions of the game Avatar: The Last Airbender, Fire Nations Rising.
So this game's published by the Op Games, and we played this game for the first time last night.
Yep.
It's for 1 to 5 players, plays in roughly 60 minutes, maybe a little bit longer when you're first learning the rules. Mm-hmm. But I know you were talking about how there's different
Rising games.
Mm-hmm. Like the Thanos one, and
there's Thanos Rising, Star Wars Rising, and Harry Potter Death Eaters Rising are the ones that I know of. I don't know if there is more than that.
Okay, but this was our first one that we played.
Yeah.
So I have no clue how this compares, if it's got like similar mechanics to it.
I think they're all pretty much like just rethemed.
Okay.
But I could be wrong, but they do all have like the central figure and like the cards around the board. So my guess is that they're just a rethemed.
Yeah, I mean, and this was one game that I was really excited about. We watched.
Me too.
When did we watch the series? When we first bought this house, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
it was like the first thing we watched when we moved in.
Yeah, we binge watched all of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then we immediately went straight into The Legend of Korra.
Yeah, so it was what, 2019, 2022? Yeah.
I had seen it when it was on Nickelodeon original, but I never watched it like beginning to end.
Ah, so good.
Yeah. But it's definitely one of our favorite series now, for sure.
Yeah, so I was really excited to play this game. This game is very, I don't even know the mechanics in this game. Because it's got
it's cooperative. It's a cooperative, just like a dice and card game. Very luck-based.
I know, we still have it set out from when we played. It's heavily luck-based because you have the circle, which represents like the area that the enemy's trying to control, and we have Fire Lord Ozai, who represents like the Fire Nation, and like he'll rotate throughout the game as to like what section of the board he's looking at, and then he'll damage either your characters or characters that are in that section. But it's got hand management and not dice drafting.
It's not hand management.
It's not hand management. What the heck is this? A tableau? That's not a tableau.
It kind of is a tableau, because some of the cards can play off of each other. Like, if you put this one next to this one.
Yeah, so it's a tableau. Is that what you're saying?
I think I could look it up, but my phone's in the other room. Oh, dice placement.
Yes, does have the dice placement.
Assigning dice. We're just going to call it a cooperative card and dice game, because that's what it says on the back of the box.
I like that. Yeah, a cooperative card and dice game.
I mean,
that's the simplest way to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because throughout the game, you're going to be rolling your dice from your starting hero, and each starting hero, depending on who you are, has different dice based on the elements.
And there's 5 heroes that you can be, all from the anime series. So you have Katara, you have her brother Sokka, you have Aang, you have Toph, and you have Zuko.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right, Zuko. Yeah, so on your turn, you'll be using the dice from their dice pool that they start with, rolling them, and then assigning them to cards in the section. You're trying to recruit them by rolling those symbols, and once you recruit them, you can add them to the left or right of your hero card and gain their ability, which might add dice, Pai Sho tokens, or heal or do damage or remove damage, that sort of stuff.
Some of them can kind of combo off of each other, where it's like,
yeah, you did have a really good combo, because you were getting...
I played Katara, so I had a character that was like, if you place this next to like a water hero, then you can, add, either an earth dice or a water dice. So there is some like strategy around where you place heroes in your line, because once they're placed, they can't be moved.
I misread Aang's power, because I thought his power was that you can swap them, because each character has a unique ability that you can use throughout the game, but his is you can swap characters that are on the board from the drafting. so you can move them from section to section, not from your personal supply. So when I was doing it, I lucked out and didn't screw up my placement like I thought I did. But yeah, placement is very key to a lot of their abilities. So first impressions, I think it's very heavily themed. If you like Avatar,
Yes.
you get that theme out of it right away.
Yeah, I forgot about some of the minor characters, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Princess Yue. It was, and like, because like it's an anime, like all of the art cards are like exactly how they looked from the show.
The anime. Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah,
It definitely brought back some moments from watching the show.
The art was already there for them to use, so it was really nice. So yeah, at the start of your turn, you'll assign your token to one of the 3 sections of the board, and then a fire card or Fire Nation card will come out, which will say how the guy rotates and how many spaces the rune track goes up. The rune track in this one represents how many days away from the Day of the Black Sun, when Fire Lord Ozai just decides to like start destroying the world, that sort of stuff. Depending on which way the Fire Nation rotates, represented by the big figure, determines on who he attacks. And if you're in that area, he's going to attack you. If he's got villains in that area, it's going to trigger the villain abilities. And that's where a lot of the luck of this game comes into play, right off the rip. Before you even get into the luck of the dice, you get into like a heavily luck-based mechanic to where...
Our first game was very
tough.
Unlucky. So
oh my god, we played on easy.
Yeah, well, it says in the rule book for your first game to remove 3 villains. So we had, 10 in the deck? Or did we have 13?
We had 10. We had 10. There's a total of 13 villains in the game.
And the deck is a fairly big stack of cards. We went through almost all of the 10 before we reached the Day of the Black Sun. Like, at one point, we had 5 villains out on the board.
And there's only 9 spaces on the whole board. 3 sections for hero or villain cards to come out. So
at one point, more than half the board was filled with villains. So anytime
Fire Lord Ozai rotated, he was activating like 2 villains apiece.
Sometimes the one section of the board was all villains the one time.
Yeah.
So it was terrible. It was very unlucky. However, as a caveat, I will say that isn't likely to happen most of the time. I think it was just a poor shuffling job.
I shuffled very thoroughly, like constantly, to where I was like, I'm going to do one more for good luck. I'm going to do one more for good luck. I kept doing it so much to where the cards were almost back in the same order when I started.
There were only, after we beat the game, we looked. There were only 3 villain cards, like at the very bottom of the deck. All the other 7 were at like the very top that we had pulled out.
But we did beat the game.
We did beat the game.
Yeah, we did beat it. It was razor sharp, super close.
Yeah.
I really like that it's luck based in that sense, but at the same time, like, it was frustrating for that being our first time, our first experience.
Yes.
The fact that it was just an uphill battle from the start.
Yeah, especially like Mitch had really good dice rolls, to where he was able to, roll his die and then like immediately be able to recruit the heroes that he wanted to recruit, which gave him more die to add on following turns, and gave him more actions that he could do. Whereas for me, I would roll.
You had bad rolls at the start because you weren't able to recruit anybody.
So you roll. I think my Katara started with 4. Does everybody start with 4 dice?
Everyone starts with 4. Katara has 2 water dice and 2
earth dice.
2 earth.
So I rolled my 4 die, and once you assign a die, you can choose to re-roll all the others and keep going as long as you're able to successfully assign 1 die. So I would assign a die to try to recruit a hero, and then I would re-roll my other 3, and I wouldn't get any of the symbols that I needed. So I was just essentially stuck and couldn't do anything.
I felt so bad. I mean, we were on a team to where I was like, oh gosh, that sucked. I felt bad.
Now, in the region that you're in, you do have 3 cards that you could go for if they're all heroes. So you could either, if there is a villain in there, you can assign die to attack the villain, or you can assign your die to try to recruit the hero that are in those locations.
You could go for both if you have a big enough dice pool.
Exactly. But sometimes they require more than 1 symbol. So, like, they might require 2 air and 1 earth. So it really matters the color dice that you have, because there's 4 different colors of dice. There's blue, red, yellow, and green. So it's...
Yeah, for the 4 elements.
Fire, water, air, and earth. And so each die of its specific element obviously has more, statistically more odds.
It's a 50% chance to roll its element.
Right.
With like a crit, I guess you can say, because one side is a double for that. So
For that element.
One side of the fire dice will have fire with a 2 icon, meaning it's worth 2 fire symbols.
Right. And then they all have just one of the other element on the die as well. So you do kind of like try to like build up your dice so that if there is a particular hero you want to go for and you know that they need a lot of air in order to recruit, you definitely want to have a lot of yellow die in your pool in order to try to recruit them.
One thing I do want to talk about is the rune track and the balance track.
Yeah.
So not only are you trying to defeat and recruit people, you're also trying to advance this track around the game. If the tracker advances all the way to the top on the rune side, then the villains get an advantage by removing a bunch of heroes that have this crescent moon sign. But if you get the balance track all the way up by fulfilling certain needs like assigning an air, water, recruiting a water hero, all sorts of other things, depending on your difficulty of the game, you can potentially remove all the villains that have crescent moon sign, I believe. And my God, that was difficult. Like, we did not advance that at all.
We got like 3 levels up, but again, I think it was just like unluck with like how the cards were drawn, because
if we weren't focused solely on like defeating the villains, I think we would have advanced it more.
Well, yeah, because our main objective at the beginning was trying to get rid of the villains, because we just had so many that we were trying to get rid of, and we were just taking so much damage every turn because it was compounding. If there was 2 villains in a section and then, Ozai turned and got activated in that section, we were taking like 3 damage each. And then if your character is damaged, you can't use their ability, which means you can have less die to roll. And it was a very uphill battle because of how unlucky we were with how the cards came out. And then what are those cards called? The
Fire Nation cards?
Yeah.
And how he rotates. We were unlucky on that too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, so the Fire Nation cards, they were coming up, and it was like, advance the rune tracker by 3 or by 2.
It's always 1 or 2.
Is it?
It's 0, 1, or 2. There's no 3s.
I thought there was a 3.
There's no 3s. If we advanced it by 3, we played wrong. I distinctly remember that in the rule book.
Oh, I kind of swear there was a 3. Okay, you know what?
There was a villain that advanced it when he activated.
That's what I was thinking. Because it advanced by 2, and then a villain got activated and advanced it again, and we're like, oh my gosh, like.
Yeah, it sucked.
Like, we can't move up our track at all, but the villains are moving up very, very quickly. But like Mitch said, I think we had a very, unstatistically unlucky game.
Yeah, like, I don't think we could play this game maybe 100 times over and probably never have as bad of a start as we had.
Yeah, it was just like the ratio of villains to heroes at the beginning was like very skewed. And it made it very challenging, especially for our first time, because that was the easy mode. Like, there are different difficulties that you can play in this game by adding all the heroes in or playing with a higher difficulty.
Right, making that balance tracker harder to go up.
So we were just like, oh my gosh, this is already very difficult. Like, how could we make this harder?
Yeah.
So I think we were just very unlucky the first time that we played it. I don't think that is what would happen in a normal game.
No, not at all.
Because of how big the deck is. I again think it was just, I mean, you say you shuffled well, but I mean, did you shuffle well?
You watched me. You watched me shuffle. Hey, you could have rolled better.
Hey, I know. I was a very bad roller. I was very frustrated.
Yeah, I know. For like the first 3 rounds, just nothing over there.
I know.
And you kept just getting damaged and damaged.
I was getting so frustrated when Mitch is just like, oh, I'm going to recruit this hero, and oh, I killed that villain.
We're on the same team. You should be happy for me. We're on the same team.
Meanwhile, I'm like, well, I didn't get any of the die. I needed to recruit that guy, and I guess my turn's over.
Yeah, your turn sucked.
Or I would be like, oh, I'm going to try to get this villain out, and then Ozai would turn and attack me for 3 damage, and I'd have no actions to do.
One more thing I want to talk about is the Pi Show tokens itself.
Yes.
The way you acquire Pi Show tokens is by special abilities. Unless we misread the rules, which we could, because we played this pretty late last night, and we were pretty tired, and we kind of just skimmed through it. is by card abilities. We looked through the entire deck. There was, what, 6?
There's 8.
There's 8 heroes that will give you Pai Sho tokens. And freaking, the Pai Sho tokens are how you reduce the rune track. You know,
reduce the rune track, kind of like mitigate your bad die rolls.
Yeah.
You know, heal a little bit. There's other cards and stuff that let you heal, but like the Pai Sho tokens will also let you heal. They will let you, you know, remove damage, like move damage from one person to another.
Yeah, we got a total of...
It will give you an extra symbol for like a die that you can use.
How many is that over there? 5?
Yeah.
We got a total of 5 tokens, and like that's how many we didn't touch.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So for there to only be 8 heroes...
Well, once again, we probably just got really unlucky.
Because I only got 1 hero.
That was it. Your hero was the only one.
That got Pai Sho. So yeah, again, if none of those heroes come out, and if you don't recruit them, because heroes can die if they take too much damage.
Yeah, if you don't recruit them fast enough,
yeah,
then
so if
they get defeated.
Yeah, if, you know, Leader Ozai, is that his name, Leader Ozai?
Fire Lord Ozai, I believe.
Yeah, Fire Lord Ozai. If he, you know, attacks that hero that gives you Pai Sho and they're removed from the game, that's one less opportunity you have to get Pai Sho tokens that help you mitigate those disadvantages.
Right. We were unlucky all around.
Yeah, so that was a little frustrating. I don't even know what they could do. I think having like I don't know if the other what is that track called?
The balance track?
Yeah,
the one that we advance?
Yeah, I don't know if the other difficulty balance tracks, maybe in like some of the like ways to advance it, like give you Pai Sho tokens. Oh, they don't. You looked at it. I was gonna say because that would be a good like incentive to try to like.
I didn't see anything that says it gives you Pai Sho tokens. It's always you're paying a cost or doing something to fulfill it.
In order to advance it.
Yeah, in order to like recruiting a specific hero.
Oh yeah,
that's discarding Pai Sho token. So that's even just worse.
Yeah, because you don't have any.
Right.
Yeah.
To where I think we were just unlucky.
I don't even know what they could do to like mitigate that though. Like maybe just have more characters that give you Pai Sho tokens.
Maybe when you first deal out, you know, no villains are allowed to be on the board in that first deal.
Yeah,
because we started with a lot.
Or have a way where it's like, okay, separate the deck into like 3 different piles, and then put like 2 villains in each set and
I like that.
shuffle
Almost
it.
like a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3,
Yeah,
so that way
so you're kind
maybe
of
it gets
building
progressively
up
harder.
so that you actually have heroes and like a big enough dice pool to like actually fight a lot of heroes on the board.
No, I like that.
Even when you get to like the Day of the Black Sun, now you have events that you have to try to defeat.
Yeah, there's the 3 final battles.
Yeah, the battle at Ba Sing Se, the battle at the Fire Nation Palace, and what's the third one? Battle at Wulong Forest?
Yes. Forest or fortress? I can't read upside down.
Forest.
Okay.
So then you actually, those events will do bad things when Fire Lord
Yeah, just
Ozo.
like damage, you know, what is it? Oh, that's the reward side. What was the...
What is it? +1 damage to all fire heroes. One was +1 damage to all
water
earth heroes.
Yeah, well, yeah, +1 damage pretty much one fire, or all fire, all earth, and all water.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But they take a lot of dice to try to like defeat. At least some of them do. So you kind of have to have like a good enough pool of characters to kind of like give yourself more die. I mean, we could probably house rule that where we just take we shuffle the deck that way. That's actually what I would recommend.
Yeah.
At least from our first impression of the game.
Next time we play, I would like to play it just one more time with the standard rules, and if we have another experience where like just the odds are not in our favor, then we shuffle it.
Because I will say, if I did not like Avatar as much as I did, I don't think I would want to play this game again. But because I love Avatar so much, and I love like the cool element die and all of the characters coming up, and I really like it. Really makes you kind of feel like you're in the show, trying to defeat villains. Like I definitely would play it again, but with that rule of, you know, making sure that the villains are equally distributed throughout the deck, because it was really It was very frustrating.
Yeah.
When all of the
You're
villains
getting
came out at
so
the same
mad.
time. Well, yeah, because I didn't even have a hero for the longest time.
Yeah,
Because
because you just kept getting smacked.
I was rolling
and
4 die, and I was taking like 4 damage every time because I just was getting so unlucky.
You kept going to the same spot too, and then like Fire Lord Ozai just wasn't moving. He kept damaging the same spot.
I was going into the same spot because that was where all the water people were, and so I had a lot of water die to try to get them. And I had an ability where it's like, oh, if I put a water hero next to my person, I can get an extra die. So it's like I was actively trying to recruit a water hero, and that's the only one that was on the board. But it was just very unlucky for the first half of the game.
I know we're probably turning you off from this game, but who would this game be for? Who would like this game?
Anyone who's a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, I like this game.
Yes.
We didn't have a good first experience, but I still liked it.
I would happily play this again if we ensured that the villains were equally distributed.
Yeah.
Which you can easily do if you separate the deck into 3 different piles. And ensure that you only have a few villains in each pile. That way you know that like you're slowly getting heroes and villains at the same time and not 7 villains in a row.
It was 5. It was 5 villains
I know, but
out at once.
there were several times where I would defeat a villain, and then in order to replace it, another villain would come out. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. I do, despite our unlucky first play of this game, I do still really enjoy it. I love the artwork on all the cards because it's just like it is in the TV show.
We should get this sweet freaking Fire Lord Ozai figure.
I kind of want to paint him. That would be sweet.
Yeah, he would be sweet painted. He'd be real cool.
Yeah. And it really just, it's really fun seeing the cards come out and you're like, oh, Uncle Iroh, like I really want to recruit him and have him on my team.
Yeah,
his
but then like,
really cool.
Then if you're just recruiting people because they're cool, you're probably not laying it out right.
I don't know.
Uncle Iroh has a cool ability though.
It brought back a lot of like really good memories from watching this show, you know, and seeing them all out on the board together. It was really fun. So I will say, I do want to try this at 3 and 4 players.
Okay.
Oh, it plays up to 5.
Plays up to 5.
Yeah, I would like to try it at 3, 4, or 5 players.
Just more players is how I would want to try it.
Because I think the damage would be more spread out if we played it with more people. You don't think so?
I don't think so because the Fire Nation's activating on each player's turn. To where it's like, I think the rune marker is going to advance a lot faster with more players.
That's true, but so that's a fair point. However, when you have more people, like you have more people assigning die and defeating villains, and you have more people kind of like damage, actively advancing it.
I guess, yeah, we do have more people advancing it, while damage would get spread out across 5 teams rather than opposed to
because
just
like
the 2
you
teams.
and I were taking so much damage, and you're still trying to have like 9 people. If you had 5 people around the board, like the board doesn't get any bigger. So like you could have people like, okay, I'm going to go and try to defeat that villain. And if they defeat that villain, you will not get tacked on your turn. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it would play better with more people.
Okay.
I still enjoyed it at 2, even though it was...
Well, let's try and play it again with like 3 or 4 next time.
Yeah, I think it would play better with 3 or 4, or or maybe 5. We can try it.
I don't know a 5th person.
Who likes Avatar? You know Dave likes Avatar.
Yeah, he's number 3. And Ben would be number 4.
Oh, he watched Avatar?
He did.
Does Alyssa watch Avatar?
Who?
Alyssa?
No.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Why?
I don't know. Anyway.
Alyssa, if you're watching,
so
watch
just
Avatar.
any last thoughts about this game? Let's wrap it up.
I will say for my final thoughts that once we did get through kind of like those first 5 or 6 villains, it was significantly better.
Yep.
When like we're like, okay, there's only 1 villain out, like this is great. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna recruit that person, and then I'm gonna go and like try to defeat that villain, and it wasn't so punishing. But yes, I think our first playthrough of this was just very unlucky, which I think can be easily mitigated just by, like we said previously, shuffling the deck a little bit differently. Just to kind of ease you into it so that you can acquire more heroes before more villains start coming out. I love the theme. I love the artwork on the cards. I love the board, like how it's like a map of the world and like you're fighting in each different like location. I was going to say quadrant, but there's only 3 sides of the board.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a quadrant.
What would it be?
Trident. No. No, maybe, right?
A third.
Third?
I guess you could just call it
Well, a quadrant, right, is 4 spaces.
We'll just say region.
So wouldn't that be a trident? 3 spaces?
Trident's just like it's a point. I don't know.
It's trident.
I really like the board, how like you are fighting each different region of the world. And how you're like putting your little token there, like, okay, this is where me and like my character and all of my heroes are fighting for this round. It kind of plays into that like whole theme of trying to like defeat the Fire Nation. Oh, one thing I also did not like.
There's so much.
Did not like, but constantly. So there, if you've watched the TV show, I know you are fighting the Fire Nation, but there are also good people in the Fire Nation.
Let's grab these. Yeah, because we have, let's see here.
There are allies within the Fire Nation, and so in this game, you have Fire Nation allies, and then you have the Fire Nation villains, and they use just like a darker red for the villains, so half the time I'm like, oh man, there's 2 villains, they both did activate, and it's just like, no, that guy's a hero. I'm like, oh. And I don't know how many times that happened where I was like, oh my god, I keep forgetting that guy's not a villain.
I mean, I see your confusion, but at the same time, like, how else would you have them do it besides just a slight different, like, it's almost black. It's not?
It is. But there is a lot of fire there, and so when they're both out on the board or on the opposite side of the board, they can look similar. Oh, a thing I do like that I forgot to mention.
Yes. Yeah, let's hear it. We need good things.
So once you pick your initial characters, so I picked Katara and Mitch picked Aang. So once you pick your initial characters, I had Katara, Mitch had Aang. The remaining unplayed characters, so for us it was Sokka, Toph, and Zuko. They get shuffled into the hero deck, so they can come out and be heroes for you to recruit, which was really cool.
Yeah.
We got super excited when Toph came back out, and I was like, oh, I want to recruit Toph to my team.
You did get her.
I did get her. Which is cool because then you kind of have like a more powered up ability because it's kind of like a starter hero.
Right.
So I did like that. That was really cool.
It was nice.
Okay, so is there anything else you wanted to add about what you liked or didn't like?
No.
Fine.
No.
Guess this video's over.
I mean, I think we've said it. I think we've said it all. I've voiced my grievances. I like the dice.
Most of our dislikes with this game was due to Mr. Shuffling.
No.
So.
No. Most of my dislikes with this game was the fact that it was just luck based.
With how the cards come out.
Like, you can play this game to the best of your ability, but if you're an unlucky individual, you're screwed.
At the same counterpoint, it is a cooperative game, so it's not like it's competitive and you're just gonna lose. We were doing.
You made it feel competitive. I was doing real hot, and you're like, well, good for you, because I don't have anybody.
I didn't feel like a team player, Mitch.
Well, you weren't contributing at all. I didn't feel like I had a team.
But even though it is heavily luck-based, it is cooperative, so you are all on the same team. So, like, Mitch had an ability where you can, like, remove damage off of any player, so he could take damage away from me, and I could heal him with my water bending. So,
she did it.
I did a few. I was getting so damaged, Mitch.
I know. I had to keep healing you.
I couldn't use my power on you. We did really enjoy it. We would just recommend making sure the villains are evenly distributed.
We probably played it wrong or something. There was probably some minor rule that we missed for setup.
But if you like Avatar, The Last Airbender,
definitely check it out.
Definitely.
If you like Avatar, you'll like the game. Even if you have a bad experience, I still like the game.
I know. I will never get rid of this. I love Avatar, and playing this just pulls me into the world. I do want to play it with more people, and I do want to play it again. I just don't want you to shuffle.
All right. I shuffled thoroughly, Morgan. Thoroughly. I kept doing it. And you're like, that's probably good.
Clearly it was not.
Wasn't. All right.
It's fine. I shuffled the Fire Nation deck, and that was equally bad.
Yeah, like the first 3, it was like 2, 2, 2. And then, like, he stayed in the same spot and just kept attacking you.
So those were our first impressions of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Fire Nation Rising. Let us know down in the comments below if you've played this game, kind of what your thoughts are on it. If you're looking forward to this game, we'd also like to know that as well.
So if you liked what you saw, be sure to give it a thumbs up and like the video, help out the channel and help us out. Be sure to click the subscribe button down below and click the bell to get notified when we release new videos. But my name's Mitch.
And I'm Morgan. Thank you so much for watching.
Right, bye.
Bye. You didn't plug World Series.
Boy, I tried, Morgan.
Fit in the last 3.
We'll put it in the bloopers. Go check out the World Series of Board Gaming. We got a link down below.
If you think
misformeeple. If you think you can beat people in Azul,
if you think you're the best at board games or specific board games,
I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot beat me in Azul.
My mom has beaten you in Azul.
My mom could sweep the World Series of Board Gaming, at least in the Azul section.
Fly her out to Vegas.
At least in the Azul section. Check out in the description. M is for Meeple's a code to get
next September 2023, right?
Right after our honeymoon.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be there.
I get way more vacation time. I might be there.
Leave me right after our honeymoon. Just ditch me.
Bye, Felicia. What are we talking about? Board games. You know who likes playing board games? Competitive people. You know where competitive people meet?
In Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, I was on a roll. I don't know why you had to cut it. You want a discount to go to Vegas? Check out the description down below. M is for Meeple, and get discount on the World Series of Board Gaming, where you can try and beat people in Azul. But I'm going to tell you right now, you can't beat my mom.
I don't know if any of this is usable.
Probably not.
So once you pick your initial characters, the remaining characters, so Zuko, Sokka,
Sokka.